guys, we are live. Thank you so much for tuning into the SoFLo Sports Show, episode 113. It's your host, 305 Sports Babe, co-host Lou from Dade. And tonight, we have such a big surprise. Well, it's not a surprise because we already announced it, but such an amazing guest who we cannot wait to bring on our show. You guys know him. You love him. You listen to him like we listen to him in the morning, maybe on your way to work. And so we cannot wait to bring him on.
I can't wait. He's the coolest. I almost wore a tuxedo tonight in honor of our guest.
We didn't wear a tuxedo during our wedding.
That's the point what I'm trying to make. This is a big deal over here. So,
all right, but before we talk about football, just real quick, as you guys know, our pal Big E is in a fight with cancer right now. He has bile duct cancer, which is the type of cancer that Jim Mandich had. He is starting his chemo and radiation next Wednesday at the University of Pennsylvania. This will go on for 4 weeks. Chemo and radiation 2 times a day for 4 weeks. Then he'll take a little break to recover from, the chemo and radiation, and then still the progress for a new liver continues. So thoughts and prayers go out to Big E. The bracelets did come in. So thank you to all who has Lou's the model. I haven't showed him yet. The first batch of bracelets came in, so they will be mailed out this week. And thank you to all who have purchased one. All the proceeds go to Big E's DCC, and let's support him this season.
Fins up.
Yes, and you can still get them, so reach out to me. Okay, so, all right. So let's get into it. Yeah, you love your introductions, but I know you're going to go crazy about this one.
I got to do it. So our guest tonight, he's, Miami royalty and South Florida legend, all right? Prior to arriving in Miami, he was a second-team All-Pac-10 at the University of California, where he played tight end. He was drafted by the Dolphins in 1980 in the 7th round. He went on to play 6 seasons with the Dolphins. He famously caught Dan Marino's first touchdown pass ever, and Marino threw a lot of them, 420 to be exact. And he was a member of the last 2 AFC Championship winning teams for the Dolphins. Mm-hmm. So that's a big deal. He's currently the longtime color commentator for the Miami Dolphins on the radio network. Of course, you can catch him every weekday morning on WQAM for the
Joe Rose Show.
Joe Rose Show. And you can also find him with his teammate, Kimbo Camper, on the Out to Pasture podcast, which is a tremendous podcast.
Can you breathe for a second?
I'm trying. There's a lot to mention. But listen, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the legendary, the one and only Mr. Joe Rose.
Thank you, guys. Nice. A lot of things you said. I appreciate that. I can't get rid of the big fella, Bo. We've been together since our early 20s. Jimmy SoFLo and one of my roommates, Dan Marino, when I played. So, yeah, the boys are all still together. Now more, we're all still hanging together.
Absolutely.
We love to see it. So, Joe, you know, you're up in popularity right there with Dan Marino, Zach Thomas, Jason Taylor, Richmond Webb. Every Dolphin fan loves you. You're like the Uncle Joe, right? I mean, and people love your stories. Like, you're so animated with your stories, and people just, gravitate to your stories. But want to speak to you about Richmond Webb. He was on our last show. He's been on our show a few times. He's a friend of ours. He's done events with us in Houston. And so we're all of us are pushing to get him into Canton. He's a semifinalist last year. He protected Danny. He's very deserving. His battles against Bruce Smith twice a year. We all know what type of beast Bruce was. What are your thoughts on Richmond, and how do we get him into Canton?
Hey, first of all, when I'm with Richmond Webb, we have a blast. He's heard all the stories. When we go to Houston, we played the Texans last year. Had dinner with 2 guys, actually, both live in Houston right now, Mark Clayton and Richmond Webb, that should hit the Hall of Fame at some point in their life. Hey, Richmond Webb, on the silent assassin, didn't talk very much, just kicked ass, man. Big. What a tackle looks like today. Looked like 40 years ago, 30 years ago. Like Bruce Smith, one of the great passers of all time. Great passer. Not a guy.
Hold on, Joe. We're losing you for a sec. Coming a little scratchy. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. Let me bring you in and bring you back.
Okay.
All right, Joe, you there? Can we hear you?
I can hear you just fine.
Perfect. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. Joe Rose, little Joe Rose, born and raised California, Maryville. First thing I want to know is, who were your teams growing up? I assume, right, 49ers, but Bay Area, so you can kind of go both ways, A's and Giants. Who were your favorite teams growing up as a kid?
So growing up outside of Sacramento, I will tell you, I was never an Oakland fan, never a Raiders fan. Even though it was right next to Berkeley, I'd rather travel across the Bay Bridge and go to San Francisco Giant fan my whole life since I was a little guy. First game, my dad was a baseball fan. We lived a couple hours away. My dad took a lot of San Francisco Giant baseball games. Willie McCovey, one air show. It was a great time going. So I 40 quality. Those were my State Warriors. Rick Barry, Thurman. That kind of what started sports. It was great. Big sports fan. Got double on week.
And Joe, your audio's coming a little scratchy. Hold on, let me see one thing.
Move his phone up? Or move his...
Will you move your phone up?
Yeah. Or do you think?
Let me hear you now. Oh no, now you sound way better. Okay. So still back in childhood, was it always football? Did you do a little bit of basketball, baseball? And if it wasn't just football, if it was just football, at what point did your family, yourself, and your coaches realize, hey, this guy can potentially get on to the next level?
So you'll get a kick out of this. Grew up just basically baseball to start with. Heavy baseball. I come from a family of baseball players. My cousin was taken in the first round by the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's a year older than I am. So we really had the bug. He was unbelievable and went on to pitch in the 80s for the Pirates. And then I got into basketball because I was 6'3" and about 140 pounds in the 8th grade. So basketball, they had me playing basketball. And then as I filled out, and I was in a passing game at my high school, and I was a receiver, and then I started getting recruited, so I slowed down from the other sports, especially my last 2 years, and focused on basketball and football, and everything else went away.
Very well. We're glad you stuck with football.
Yes.
On behalf of the Dolphins nation, we're happy that it was football.
So that takes, and I know you mentioned Rick Barry, who ended up down here at the University of Miami, was some of the guys that you grew up watching. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, so let's talk about, your time as a California Golden Bear. And specifically, I want to take you to the 82nd edition of the Big Game. By the way, before I do that, how crazy is it that both Cal and Stanford are now in the ACC? Could you have ever, in your wildest dream, imagined?
That is the craziest thing I've ever heard. The fact that Cal and Stanford travel now to Carolina, going to be traveling to Miami and Virginia to play games. I never thought I'd see that. And then, of course, last year, Cal had a chance to beat Miami before the Cam Moore great comeback. But, yeah, that's a crazy one. But I got to tell you, playing in the Big Game, it's not big out here, but in the Bay Area, the Cal-Stanford game, a lot of people went to either one of those schools. And so, yeah, one was a public. We called them the rich private school kids. And so, yeah, it was quite a rivalry. But nothing like the rivalries back here with and Florida State, Miami. Nothing even close. The football in the South's a different level than the West Coast.
Absolutely. You want to bring up the pictures? But I do want to, even though it's still the Big Game for a reason, and I want to go back to the 82nd edition of this game, where this game was played in Palo Alto, and John Elway, some quarterback named John Elway, was a freshman quarterback. This big game, and so this is you start off that game with the score, and then you end the game with a game-winning touchdown. You got 2 touchdowns in this game from your quarterback, Rich Campbell, and the game winner was ruled initially you were out of bounds. But then your coach let him have a little bit and fought for it, and they were able to take a closer look, and you did get that 1 foot down, and you scored a game-winning touchdown, 2 overall, to be the hero of the game on the same field as John Elway, by the way.
Yeah, Hey, that was pretty cool. That was the last regular season game of college football for me. And then, of course, we went on. I played an East-West All-Star game there. Ironically, at that same stadium, like a month or two later, and I was the MVP of that game. So it was that field was very, very good to me. But, yeah, that catch and going through the drama, and they're going, you're out of bounds. And my teammates are going, man, you're way in bounds. So they huddled up, and it was like a late huddle up. And then they changed the call on the road, which was crazy, right? And we get a last second stop defensively, and we go on to win that big game. And neither team was that great that year, but it gave us a winning record, and it was really cool to go through.
No, that is awesome. And again, you were the hero of that game. And, the 82nd edition, of course, a couple of years later, you're no longer in the team, but the game got even bigger. And I'd love to know where you were at when the play happened. Of course, I'm talking about when at California Memorial Stadium, kickoff with 0 time left on the clock, 5 laterals, going into the end zone, and all of a sudden, the crazy play-by-play, the band is on the field. Where were you when the wildest finish you'll ever see? Where were you when that game took place?
We were on the road, and of course, back then that you couldn't watch like 40 games, right? So, you had to hear about it, and then some guys started coming in, going, "Holy shit! Did you see what happened in that game?" And I said, "No, what's going on?" And John Elway had taken the team down on a last-second drive to put him ahead, and that was his last year. And John Elway says goodbye, and the winning drive going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. And John Elway, one of the greatest players for Stanford. So our guys get back out there, and they run the rugby. Now I got to tell you something funny. Rugby out there is huge.
Yeah.
In Cal, rugby ranks right up there, man. The rugby players got all the beautiful sorority girls. I'm telling you, those guys had it rolling. That was beer after, big kegs of beer. And we had a coach that was okay if you played rugby, which is obviously crazy. You'd never see today. So now they start all those crazy laterals, and Stanford kind of quit, and the play stayed alive. And Kevin Moan was a big part of it. A guy that I did play with was a freshman when I was a senior. And that thing goes in, and then the best part for all Golden Bear fans is the guy goes in as he scores and hammers the guy in the back of the head in the band, and he goes down and fights his way through. It was just one of the craziest plays to this day every time I see it. But I was on the road, and I saw that highlight. It was just unbelievable.
Now, Joe, I wanted to ask you, at what point did you know you wanted to go to Cal Berkeley? And was there any other schools? Was, USC? Was any other schools kind of barking at you or even caught your interest?
So back then you could only take, I don't know if it's 5 or 6 recruiting trips. So I was getting recruited by most of the schools on the West Coast. So I had to kind of pick and choose. I took a trip to Oregon. I took a trip to UCLA. Coach Vermeil was down there. The weird one, though, is if you know me and my teammates in EMC, I was a little wild when I got, out of Berkeley, but I took a trip to BYU, and they had a great passing game. And they recruited me, and Lavelle Edwards was the head coach, and I was like, man, I really like this guy. And everybody's going, well, it's a little different lifestyle than a Catholic. And I go, well, I mean, that's I want.
That's okay.
So I took a trip to BYU, and while you're on that recruiting trip, they kind of educate you on the rules and regulations as a Mormon.
Yeah.
And everything, but the campus people were great. I had some relatives there at the time. I had 2 cousins on my mom's side, and so they kind of took me around on the trip, and it was great. But I ended up coming home and going just a couple of hours away to Cal, which Cal and BYU had nothing in common at all, lifestyle or anything else, So.
And Maryville to Berkeley, what is about 2 hours or so?
Yeah,
so it was easy for me to see the games, right? The team supported you and stuff. So
nice. And Kim Bokepper isn't too far away from there as well, right? Around the California.
Bo's actually a lot closer to Cal. He's in San Jose area, so he's about an hour, maybe less, away from Berkeley at Milpitas High School. I said Milpitas High School in case that came out. Don't get a dirty mind there. But yeah, that was the name of his high school. And and San Jose State and Cal had great games, some really, really great games. And watching Bo play when I was a young boy, he was really good, man. So it was fun.
Joe, who was your favorite player growing up? Who was one player, I mean, I just thought of this, that you idolized, that you were like, hey, if I'm going to play in the NFL, this is who I want to script my game towards? Like,
oh, that's pretty cool. So I like Gene Washington a lot. Gene Washington was a wide receiver for the 49ers. And Ted Kwalik was really cool. I mentioned his name before. So those guys, again, I was a huge 49er fan, man. And that was the Giants and 49ers. My room was full of, from baseball cards and football cards. It was always those two teams. So that was pretty fun.
That's amazing. Awesome. All right. So let's
I just wanted, again, just to put a bow to your California chapter there. We had a great time. We were mentioning it before the show. Berkeley's a beautiful campus. Memorial Coliseum is a tremendous facility.
Snuck in.
We couldn't go up to Tightwad Hill up top. We wanted to see that angle perspective. We couldn't get up there.
Luke kept saying, I want to see your Tightwad. I said, we're married now. What are you talking about? He goes, no, I want to take you to Tightwad. Yeah. I didn't know it was a real thing. I thought he was being dirty with me.
No, so the funny part about that is, so we look down on the field and you look up there and people are sitting up there all getting higher than a kite from the smell that was coming down. You could almost smell it on the field from the hill over the top. And yeah, that was a great seat. Nobody got arrested.
Exactly. No doubt. And Joe, another thing, the Dolphins have a great history in California. Do you know how many stadiums the Dolphins have played in California off the top of your head?
Are you testing them?
Yes.
I know we played the last two Super Bowls. We played in the Rose Bowl and then at Stanford Stadium. Right. Which it's kind of weird now because it really wasn't home to the 49ers. They were at the time at Candlestick. So that was kind of a weird one. Candlestick Park, we played there. We played a lot of different locations in San Francisco. I played at a couple of them. Then San Diego at their stadium.
Right.
Oakland, played there a couple of times in the old Oakland Coliseum, which was the dive of dives. It was a dump, no question about it. It was outdated like 50 years ago. I don't know. I'm probably running out. Am I missing
Give me a number. What do you think? Would you think it's less, more or less?
8. I'm going to say 8.
So I'm going to shock you. It's 11. San Diego, Jack Murphy Stadium. All right.
Yeah.
You played at the Coliseum and the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
All right. SoFi Stadium now. And remember, you played also in that soccer stadium, the small soccer stadium a couple of years back.
Oh, my gosh. You got me. I was there. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah. You're right. Totally forgot. You got me on that one. Yeah.
Another one people forget where the Angels play, where the Anaheim Angels play. The Rams used to play there. So the Dolphins
did not know that.
They played a game there.
On that one. But we did play at the Rose Bowl, and we played at the Coliseum both. We played the Super Bowl and the Rose Bowl and Coliseum. We played Monday Night Football because that's where Dan Marino threw his first touchdown pass.
So we're going to get to that. Right, we'll get to that. And then, the 5 in NorCal, you're talking about Candlestick Park, Levi Stadium, Oakland Coliseum, Palo Alto in the Super Bowl, and they played a game on Memorial Coliseum. You know that, right? They played
by the way, you are really good, man. I can't believe that you did the homework.
North, south, east, and west is, Joe. He doesn't know which way east is, and we live a mile from the ocean.
That's crazy. Outdated stadiums. You got me, man. I was way off. Wow.
Well, there you go.
You did good. So, Joe, before we leave the top of California, this is a bedroom talk that we have. Since you've lived in California and you spent plenty of time in Miami, you reside in South Florida, what's more scarier, an earthquake or a hurricane?
By the way, great question I get all the time. I will take an earthquake every day of the week, and everybody back here thinks I'm bat crazy.
We think you're nuts.
Because they say, well, you can see hurricanes if they're on the way, man. I got to tell you, those winds and that's, going through that. And I've been through some earthquakes that jump pretty good. The San Andreas Fault is right over Berkeley. right over that stadium. That's why they can't build a brand new stadium. They just have to. I mean, the stadium's fine, but can never be because it sits right in the middle of one of the biggest earthquake cracks that we have. That's waiting to, everybody's always talking about San Francisco going in the ocean and the bridges. By the way, you go over the Golden Gate Bridge or the Bay Bridge, you do think about, I hope the big one doesn't come where it starts rocking. Yeah. But I didn't mind earthquakes. We had some 5s and they didn't bother me.
Where were you during the 89s?
No, that was, you know what? Jimmy SoFLo was there during the World Series of the A's and the Giants.
Yeah.
And he was standing in the middle of Candlestick Park where they were playing. I don't know what game it was in that series. And the bridges were collapsing. Yeah. I mean, it was bad. And Jimmy, by the way, Jimmy SoFLo's got some great stories about that. He was working. He had retired from the Dolphins. It was full-time with NBC National. And, he's out covering the World Series. And in the middle of it, Jose Canseco and McGuire and Bonds. And that happens. It was just wild.
I was born 10/24/89. So my mom's joke is that I caused the earthquakes coming into the earth.
You were I think you've worked out. I don't think your mom's giving you enough credit now. Come on.
I think you turned out okay. So Joe, let's talk about the draft. 1980, get drafted by the Dolphins, 7th round.
Yes.
Were the Dolphins like one of your hey, I want to go down to Miami? Honestly, looking back now, who was did you want to play for San Francisco? Or were you surprised? You did. I figured, yeah.
So I was told there was a good chance that they were gonna take me, but I've learned now through all these drafts, everybody's calling, the phones are picking up. If you're there, we're gonna take you. If you're there, the Buffalo Bills called and said, if you're there, and you're looking at the map, where the hell is Buffalo and all that stuff. And the Dolphins did work me out, but I didn't think much about it. And then I got that call. And so the funny part is, I'm this kid from Cal, and I didn't know. I knew Bill Walsh a little bit, but I didn't know a lot about the other the coaches. So I get drafted, and they say, hey, you got to come out right away. And Coach Shula got on the phone for 2 seconds and said, we're flying you out, and, get ready to go. And so I went back to the school. I had a day or two before I had to leave, and I run into C. Barkowski and some other guys who are in the league but were home in the off season, working out and going to school. And, Berkeley is a fun place to be. And so those guys go, hey, man, congratulations. And I said, yeah, man, I'm going to Miami. And oh, man, I got to tell you, man, that's the good news. You're going to Miami. The bad news is Don Shula is one tough son of a gun, man. You have no idea what and I go, I'm thinking my dad's pretty tough. I go, what do you mean? They go, oh, man, he's got the toughest practices in the NFL. Everybody knows that. And this is 1980, right? And I'm watching these guys. We're playing a little pickup basketball. And I go, what? They go, oh, no. You better be in shape, man. And he's got this 12-minute run. They knew everything. You run gassers and you practice a couple of times a day. And I was like, by the time I got on that plane, I was scared shitless. I was like, oh, my God, I can't believe this. So I come back there, and sure enough, man, he got putting a uniform on and wanted to see what kind of shape everybody's in. I'd never been in humidity in my life. I'd never left California except recruiting trips. I get back here, and I get introduced to humidity. And
so was that your first time in Florida, Joe?
First time. Never played a game in college, never came back here.
Wow.
And it was hot. St. Thomas University, he's got that 12-minute run, the legendary 12-minute run, which the players used to go. Mark Duper used to go, hey, man, I thought we were playing football. I didn't know we were getting ready for track season. And, we used to laugh, but Shoes loved that, man. He goes, and run hard, rookies, run hard. And I remember being so sick to my stomach by the time I got to the end of that thing. I was dry heaving. I was afraid to have breakfast because I didn't want to throw my breakfast up. And so it took a little while to get used to, but that's how I got introduced to South Florida. And then he sends you home and says, it's going to be a lot hotter when you come back for camp when it really starts. So that's how it all started.
So that's how it started. And obviously we didn't scare you away because you ended up playing 6 seasons with us. But let's jump to 1983. So that's when Danny, as you call him, Danny Boy joined the team. At what point, when you started seeing this kid, right? Kid from Pitt, And you've probably never been to Pennsylvania at that point, right? Either before.
I've never been to Pennsylvania. Yeah, the Northeast was not. I mean, I did play in a Garden State Bowl, so I was in New Jersey for like 3 days, but that was it. Yeah.
So you get this kid coming down from Pitt, right? This Danny Marino kid. So 1983. At what point, once he starts coming on the team, what point did you guys realize, like, hey, this guy's gonna be our starter? Was it immediately, or you kind of had him let it feel the trenches?
You know what? So we were just talking about this thing when everybody talks about rookie quarterbacks. So we'd gone to the Super Bowl the year before, right? We played in a Super Bowl with Woodstock. David Woodley and Don Strock were quarterbacks. We won a lot of games, and we get to, we're hanging in there. And now I hope I'm doing the right game. I believe it was that game. So yeah, it was, because Danny played the 49er game. So now we draft this guy in the end of the first round, Dan Marino, and he comes in and he starts throwing the ball. Now I'm roommates with David Woodley at the time. David Woodley we got drafted in the same class. So David started. People forget that David Woodley started some games in between basically Bob Greasy and Dan Marino. And we were winning a lot of those games. We won them. So we get off to a horrible start, and we don't look good offensively. And he came in day one, and he's making ridiculous throws without knowing coverages, without knowing the pass plays, without any timing with veteran receivers. And he's hitting guys in the head with the ball 40 yards down the field. I mean, he's accurate. He's strong. He's confident. He's got a little Dan Marino strut to him, like, I'm damn good and I know it. And so all the guys are kind of watching. Now, we're a Super Bowl team, and we're kind of watching this. So I remember going back to our room one night. Now David Woodley's they're throwing next to each other every day. And he's going, I can see him, man. So we go back to room one night, and he goes, well, what do you think? I said, I don't think it looks good, man. This guy can play. And he goes, I know. He goes, I don't know how long. And so he goes back out. I don't know if you remember the first couple of games, we were terrible offensively. I mean, we couldn't get anything. And so he kept putting Dan Marino in the second half of those games. And I don't know, it felt like he's throwing for 200 and something yards in the second half. And we're running a 2-minute drill trying to catch up. And I could feel the team. I don't know about the coaches, but I could feel the veteran players going, Shoes, how long are we sticking with this guy before you're going to put that kid in there and let him throw the ball around? And Shoes, I give him credit. And he's from the old school. Rookie quarterbacks got to sit around and learn. And he had to speed that process up because he realized he was ready to play. And so things changed. The first game, we played Buffalo. That game he started. And we lost, but he put on a show. And everybody at the Orange Bowl that was there. And the funny thing is, Lyle Blackwood, we were off, and Lyle Blackwood was a great prankster. So Danny's standing there by himself. He's getting ready to go. Everybody knows he's starting. First start as a rookie, our first round pick. And Lyle Blackwood walks up to him and goes, do you realize if you don't play well, we got no shot to win? Go get him, rookie. And he threw it on him. He walked away, half joking, but half serious.
Oh my gosh.
And so Danny, I didn't see it happen. Danny kind of looked at him and he just kind of shakes his head, and he runs out, and the rest is history. He goes on, and we didn't win every game, but we were lighting defenses up with that guy.
So staying with the topic of Dan Marino, obviously you caught his first touchdown pass. And so this made me, I listen to you faithfully every morning. On my commute out to Coral Gables, some days you make me laugh, some days you make me cry, some days I piss myself. But every morning, 6:45, I'm listening to you. So this morning, you guys were talking about the whole thing with the Heat, how Homeboy took all that merchandise and, was selling it on the black market and everything. And so that made me think. And then you mentioned that you don't have any of your game day jerseys, which I won't say the reason why, but I was listening. I said, Lou, try me and I'll get rid of everything in this house, boy. I said everything, all your under. So, and then that made me think, and people want to know, that first touchdown pass, who the heck has that ball? Is it A, you, B, Danny, or some security guy from the 80s of the Dolphins who sold it already? Who has that ball?
Somebody on the sideline made some money on that ball. And I'll tell you, so years later, because Danny made it clear. He goes, I never got the ball. I think Joe has it. So now we get down, and he's breaking every record, and he's getting, I don't know what year it was, but I'm at the Honda Classic, minding my own business, watching golf. I like to watch golf. And a collector comes up to me and says, hey, if you have that ball, in which I hear you do, I'd like to give you $50,000. I'd like to have that football.
That's it?
And what? No, 50,000. That was, well, years later, now somebody thinks, somebody comes up to me and says, hey, man, I'm a collector. If you have that Marino ball, I'll give you $200,000.
Yeah.
And because, now everything's exploded in collectibles, right? Everybody's trying to get a piece of history and all these things. But I got to tell you, 50, and I think I was about as close to being completely broke as one man can be at that point when they came up. But I didn't have the ball. So I go, no, man, I hate to break it to you, but I don't have the ball. But, yeah. So he didn't have the ball. He's got about every other one, but he did not get the first one. They slow motioned it. I flipped it over my shoulder to the official. The ball went to the sideline, and then from there, nobody knows for sure.
So in the chats, they're saying that it's an urban legend. That ball will never be found.
It's a secret. It's like Jimmy Hoffa at this point.
Should we tell them it's in our bedroom? No, I'm just kidding. We don't have it, honestly, no.
I wish. And listen, with the crazy thing that happened with the Miami Heat, and oddly enough, I'm going to put us this picture now where you were at Channel 6 for a long time, 22 years to be exact. And the Miami Heat, the captain, Udonis Haslem, presented you with your own jersey. Here it is right here. He's had a Miami Heat with Bros and number 80 on it.
I love that picture.
That'd probably go for a lot of money these days, too, with that Heat heist that took place by that security guard down there in the arena.
Who has that jersey, Joe?
Yeah. Well, I got to tell, I do have that one. I tell you, UD and the Heat have been great. They were great, especially NBC and the Sunday night shows we did, and I did for a long time. But that was really cool for that guy to come down there and listen. UD, you wouldn't expect anything else, but that was really cool. That put UD. I already had him way up there, but that was really nice. That was a nice evening.
Very awesome. We want to definitely want to wrap up with the Dolphins here, and
former Dolphins
stuff. We want to talk to Dolphins of present day, but I want to go over some of the legendary games that you played in. You played in the hook and ladder game, a very tough loss at the old Orange Bowl, 41-38 in overtime to the Chargers. You scored 2 touchdowns in that game. Give us a little bit stories about that game and how exhausted everybody was, specifically your counter tight end and Kellen Winslow. What was it like playing in that game?
It was for a game at the end of the year in playoffs. It was got to be one of the hottest games I can ever remember. It was humid. It was loud. It was packed, and we got off to a horrible start. I don't remember after all these years. I know we were down a lot. And they kick off, and the ball we'd fumble it, and it was just bad. And that Charger offense was scoring, going up and down the field with the guys they had, all those great skilled position players. And Don Shula made a change sometime in the second quarter, I believe. And Don Strock came in and has a game of his life, called the plays. I got to tell you a great story about Don Strock, who doesn't get enough credit for what he did and how important he was. He not only on my touchdown, he not only called the play, but he told me to break inside. It was an option route. I could go inside or outside. He told me to break in because the guy was going to play to my outside. And I looked at him. This is, the clock's running. You got to get the play off. And I break inside and catch it, run in and cramp up because I back then was drinking Pepsi, in between. There's no Gatorade and stuff. Yeah, everybody cramped up a zillion times back then. Oh. But so that was a great game. We had the lead. We have a chance to go up 2 scores. We fumble. They come back. We have a chance to win. They have a chance to win. Miss field goals, and then of course they win the game, and that was it. But what a game! I mean, listen, nobody wants to be part of great games that you lose. But that was the game of the 80s. I believe it was called the game of the 80s. And it was just unbelievable. And I get more people come up. That and the Chicago Bears Monday Night Football game where Danny just was phenomenal. And we just blew him out in the first half and hung on there in the second half. to make sure they didn't go undefeated was pretty cool too.
That was my follow-up. That amazing 85 game against the Bears, where prevented them from going undefeated and joining the 72 team, and just that whole season. The way Dan Marino played, 48 touchdowns, over 5,000 yards. The league MVP. And if he were to play in today's age with the rules and with the way things are, the extra game, I mean, he might throw 70 touchdowns. I mean, what was it like just being on that team and seeing Dan Marino during that amazingly historic, never before seen season?
Yeah, he was unbelievable. And if he played in today's game with today's rules and the way you protect the quarterback, he would, it wouldn't matter what coverage they ran, man, zone, blitz. He was made for everything. He would put up stupid numbers never seen before. Our huddles were classic. I can just tell you, we could do a soap opera off our huddle. And Clayton on one side, Duper on the other, Nat Moore in there, Tony Nathan in there. And you're talking about a whole bunch of really good receivers and one football. And things like this would take place. Say, hey, the last three have gone to the guy over here. I'm over here. Look who's playing against me, man. And they go back and forth. And it never stopped. And Danny get frustrated and go, no, man, hey. We all got to get paid now. Let's go, man. Ain't nobody here going to cover. You got to, and this is going on, and the clock's running down, and he'd get frustrated, and he'd always go, Dwight Stevenson, and Dwight would go, shut the fuck up. And that was it. Nobody said a word. And so I told this story one night. Clayton do go, man, that was true. When that man said, shut up, that was it, man.
That's like so
nobody said a word. When Dwight raised his voice in that huddle, you were like, yes, sir. I got it. I know it. Okay. All right. We're good. Whatever you need. And then we got back to business. It was just full of great players is my point. It was offensive linemen. And, and you play with all those guys and you throw in Jimmy SoFLo in there. You play with all those guys and Bruce Hardy and Dan Johnson. And, man, you're going, man, that team was loaded. They, draft picks back then to find guys like Duper was a track guy and Clayton was drafted. He was an afterthought as a draft pick to become a Hall of Fame type of player. Just it had everything, and it was fun, and it was led by 13, who just, if you got to see him in the old Orange Bowl, man, you got to see great day. You got to see UM on a Saturday win like 9,000 games in a row. And then you watch him on Sunday. We didn't do a lot of losing back then on the weekends.
A lot of winning football. And, to put a point on that as well, January 20th, 1985, that game in Stanford, we talked about Super Bowl 17 in Pasadena, but who would have ever thought that Dan Marino, with all that talent you just mentioned and the talent in his right arm, never had a star running back, couldn't move that much, and you still couldn't stop him. You knew what he was going to do, and you couldn't shut him down. Who would have ever thought that would be his one and only Super Bowl appearance? Yeah. I'm sure that he said the story, we're going to be back here 4 or 5 times, and it never materialized. Part of it had to do with because he played against Joe Montana, and then, of course, John Elway went to 5 Super Bowls. Jim Kelly went to 4. So it's unfortunate that, Danny never had the talent to get him, that one ring that he deserved.
I think if you ask him, he's on record as saying, their only regret is I didn't bring South Florida a championship. And he always says, I didn't. I mean, he throws it on himself, or that, I wish, we could have. We had some teams that had a chance, and everything needs to go right. And we loaded it up a couple of times, and it came up short, whether it's a missed field goal or, whatever, or losing shootouts. But listen, man, you have that kind of career. He's a top 100 all-time player. He's had he had no regrets, man, as far as I'm concerned. And listen, South Florida we want to win playoff games again. Yeah, we want to get back. I'd love to see another Super Bowl. I tell everybody, I'm not proud to tell everybody I played in the last one. That's not what I want at this point in my life.
Right.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
So, Joe, before we talk present day Dolphins, I do want to ask you, besides Super Bowl 19, what's one Dolphins loss that, like, if it was a bad dream that still haunts you today, that it still like makes you cringe and you're like, but only da-da-da. What's that second worst loss, if you had to say?
New England Patriots in the AFC Championship game. I played like shit. I was terrible. The guy that was covering me might as well. It sounded like I told him what route I was running. Matter of fact, I was wondering if I could take him home and he could just wear him instead of a shirt. He covered me like that. It was just, and I got to tell you, when you play in one of those, now listen, I mean, you look around and people probably, because I didn't drop a winning touchdown or something, but every guy, when you play for Don Shula, you know if you played well or not. And I'll bet even the last year, I'll wake up and I'll just go like, God, I played bad in that. Like, it's still, you know, I still like blame myself for stuff in that game and having chances and plays are called to you. And literally this guy's running my route for me, which anytime you hear guys running a route for you, it's the ultimate embarrassment. And it ended, we had beaten them a few weeks before and they came back and they were playing great. And they won that game, man. It was just a killer. Just stuck with me for years in the middle of the night, no matter what, San Francisco, California, Hawaii on vacation. I wake up in the middle of the night going, shit.
Yeah.
No way.
That's kind of how I feel like some of the most recent years of being a Dolphins fan too. So even though we didn't play, we still feel that pain.
Of course, in that game, they went on to the Super Bowl and faced the Bears and got destroyed by the Bears, the same Bears that you manhandled in the Orange Bowl. So that was the win right there, so I hear it.
Now, that's when I don't like your history lesson. You're right, because I think we really felt like if we played them again, the mismatch, they couldn't cover our guys the first time. They weren't going to be able to cover them a second time.
And Joe, so one more question about Dolphins in the past. This is a question that people have asked me and it just got brought up. What was Coach Shula like outside of football in your perspective? We've heard Richmond tell his stories, but outside of football, on the field, in the locker room, what was Coach Shula like? What was the Coach Shula you remember off the field?
Well, listen, later in life, he really mellowed out. He just, I was with him at the 90th birthday party and we lost him soon after that. He was great. He was sharp. I did some charity events and he was there and he was great. He'd sit down and he'd talk about stuff, but he wanted to get along with all those players, even the guys that he fought with. And I was one of them. And there were some other guys without getting into names that, but he was tough. He was demanding. You were accountable every day. He believed you had to practice hard and practice hard to be good in games, which is kind of an old school thing. He believed in conditioning. And I'm going, man, talking to other guys go, we don't condition too late in the year. Like we do. But I got to tell you, coming out of Cal, it was a little bit wild and it was good for me. It was really, really good for me. On time, getting called out. I got to tell you, if anybody's wondering how you get somebody's attention, get called out in a meeting full of all your teammates. Get called out individually. And I tell everybody, think about going to work. And your boss comes in and has, hey, we're going to bring everybody in, not individually, not into a little group, but everybody in the company comes in and you get called out for a play or something stupid you've done.
Yeah, that was Coach.
That will get your attention, man. Now, people, you can't do that. Yeah, I tell you what, if you did, you might have some hurt feelings, but you get everybody's attention. That's for sure. Oh, shit, I don't want that to be me.
That was never you, Joe. That was never you.
Oh, not me. No.
No. So, Joe, as we start to wrap up, before we talk current day Dolphins, so you just came back from like a 2-week trip. You were in Chicago, and then you were also in Detroit as the Dolphins had 2 preseason games. And then, of course, they play Jacksonville. They play Saturday. They play this Saturday. So the first thing I think about when you were in Chicago and then Detroit, do you prefer Chicago deep dish pizza or Detroit style pizza?
Chicago every day.
Oh, nice.
I agree with you too. No, we love our Chicago.
Every day. Yeah. I hate to rank them. I love Motown and all that stuff. The music's great. It's got its own history. Yeah. But that Chicago pizzas. Yeah, it's different. Yeah, it's different, but I liked it. I got a big appetite for anything anyway.
When we were there, we went against the Dolphins and Bears, and then we also saw the Heat and the Bulls. Yeah. We did a little pizza tour. Pequod's is my favorite outside of Wrigley. Pequod's is great.
Right.
It's like a dirty word too, Pequod. I'm going to do something nasty. Okay, so current day Dolphins, Another thing that comes to my mind, still on the topic of Shula, if Shula was the coach of these 2025 Miami Dolphins, what do you think he'd be doing? What do you think he'd be saying? Just straight shot it.
I told Coach Shula later on, we were at an event. I said, Coach, you'd have trouble coaching in today's game.
Yeah.
And he go, what do you mean by that? There you go. You got to stir it up. Here we are having this thing. What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
And Mr. Ross was standing by me too at the time. And I said, I had to, now I said that to get him going. I said, free agency.
Yeah.
Not only free agency, but you got to deal with agents. You dealt with us directly.
Yeah.
I said, now these guys and all the other things, the game's changing. A lot of things are changing. A lot of rules that you liked and had an impact on. It would be, it's just different. It's a different generation of NFL football, and how, guys, if they're hurt, they're not going to play, and they're going to wait till they get healthy. They're thinking about, and the medical field is really good now, and so I just told him all those things, and he goes, oh, bullshit, I was like, all right. I mean, I threw it out there. I think Coach Shula would think he could do it his way, and it would still. Now, listen, with his resume, you can get away with things when you got a resume. Guys are going, okay, he's tough, but I respect him, right? That's how I felt. Like, how could I argue with Don Shula? His friggin' team was 17-0, and as soon as I got to meet those guys and how much they respected him, they said he was tough. They had days they didn't like him, but you go 17-0. And God knows if they don't have to break that team up with some of the guys going to the new football league, that thing that was I mean, it would have been unbelievable. So but Coach Shula, it'd be a lot different. Yes.
So that leads me to my next question. So this morning, again, when I'm listening to you driving to Coral Gables, you talked about the jersey swap, right? How back in the day, you guys didn't do the jersey swap thing. And I'm like, shoot, he is right. So what differences do you see in tight ends today than tight ends back in the 80s? Do you feel like they're less used? Is it a different style of play? What is your opinion from tight ends back in the 80s to what you see today, besides the jersey swap stuff?
Well, it's funny you said that, because first of all, I got here and Cooch and those guys, Bob Kuchenberg, said, hey, just want to let you know, we don't like the friggin' Jets. I don't care if you went to school with guys.
Yeah.
We don't talk. We don't shake hands. Yeah. This is like, you guys can meet up in the off season. Nothing's going to happen on this football field.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. So I was like, wow, that okay. And the Jets had Wesley Walker, who I went to school with, and I was like, well, and Wes is like, hey man, hey, and I go, hey Wes, talk to you in Berkeley, in the off season, I'll see you here, brother. So that was what was the other part you asked me, but that was a big one.
Yeah, no, I remember hearing you said this morning about that, and I'm like, you'd have to give him a little like 2-2-2 on the sideline because you get in trouble. So what's just the difference between tight ends back in the 80s to what they are now? Just is it different style of play, different attitude, different build, less used maybe on offenses? Just the difference that you see in tight ends. You know what?
First of all, the game's come around for tight ends again. They're making more money. They're catching a lot more. I see a lot of guys getting new contracts. The new guys coming out are really good receivers. So is a lot of that. The really good tight ends when I played, though, there were some really Winslow Sr. was just a big, strong dude and, fantastic. But I think it's a safer position. I don't think, you can run down the middle of the field and you have to worry about somebody just nailing you to make a statement. And, you hope they'd go for the ball, but a lot of times they didn't. And I don't think those guys, listen, it's still physical and they still hit you, between the hash marks. But just with the rules, I just feel like you can run a little more freely as a tight end and not worry. But I think these guys are every bit and they're faster. Everybody's bigger. So it's overall probably a much more talented position right now.
Yeah, it was actually a tight end who made me fall in love with the Dolphins, and that's solely the reason why I'm a Dolphins fan. And that's someone who goes after you. Anthony Fasano is the reason. The best of the best. Like, and I told him that 2 years ago. I said, you are the reason why I'm a Dolphins fan. He goes, no one ever told that to me before. And I said, well, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And I just had so much respect for,
Very good.
I was a Jersey guy. I'm a Jersey girl and being a tie. So that's one that resonates. And I know you want to talk about current day Dolphin. Go ahead.
Yeah, so speaking of tight ends, Darren Waller looked like he got cleared finally. So, he doesn't get more in shape than he is as is now. But, to get him up to game speed and ready to go shape, you think that's coming? Are you a little worried about it with who else is out there and Julian Hill? Or what do you think is the prognosis here for Darren Waller?
Well, they want Darren Waller. They didn't bring him in. They brought him in with a game plan, but he needs to start picking it up this week. I mean, we're getting toward – he's got to run and get the soreness out. There's football, you can work out on your own all day, and you get in and start moving football moves and football coming off and getting tapped a little bit. You got to get banged up a little bit to get used to it. You got to take some hits. So I thought, this week he really need to start getting some practice. I don't know if they're going to throw him in the game for a few plays. I don't know if that's too big a jump, but I know I'd want to get thumped around a little bit before the opener against the Colts and get used to catching the ball in traffic and knowing you might get hit, and also catching the ball and learn how to fall, man. Get your shoulders back down and there's just, soreness of a different kind of condition from football practice. You can get in the best shape of your life. You get in a football practice, at least ours, and you were sore. You're like, damn, I worked my ass off last offseason. I'm sore anyway. And so, yeah. That would be the biggest thing. I hope he's back this week.
Perfect.
I'm sorry. I was say.
So the first game was focused heavily on the run, and last week was more passing emphasis. But now I want to talk about these lines. The defensive line, especially with these rookies in Biggers and Phillips and Kenneth Krant. I mean, these guys look like they could get in there and really jam up that middle. You've seen already pass deflections. How excited are you from what you've seen on the defensive line of the football?
I think the strength of this team's the front seven, just to throw the ends in there, and what they've added is pass rushers. They don't ever want to go through what they have the last 2 years with some of your top guys out and having that big drop off. So they've got some. It's going to be fun to watch this week to see how the young guys play. They know there's not a lot of jobs open now that they've added another guy in there. So it's loaded. I think the 3 young draft picks. Biggers has come on. Jordan Phillips is really strong, and I think Grant's going to be really, really good. They're going to play a lot of football. By the way, this is the most football we're going to see early in the year from our draft picks. I think Ollie Gordon II has got to play. I mean, he's got to get some carries.
Yeah,
I was about to say carries. So I like this draft class, and of course. Sibonaya as well, and getting him out there at guard. He just needs to keep playing. He's going to make mistakes, but he's a big physical kid. He wants to be great, and so I'm excited about the draft class. Now, I don't know about depth of the team, but this draft class, man, I don't ever get away from the draft. The draft's the way to do it.
So sticking with the draft, a name that you did not mention is Quinn Ewers. So after last week's game in Detroit, is Quinn QB2, or are we still riding the Zach Wilson train?
Well, a lot of people disagree with me, and I got ripped for this take all morning today. I see the comments, and, I'm siding with Mike McDaniel because I'm kissing his ass and stuff. Listen, Ewers has had a really good camp. He really has, and he's had great practice. You guys go out to practice.
Me too.
He's had some great practices. He was a hell of a player at Texas. We shouldn't be surprised. He played in some big, big games. I feel like there's no pressure on him. There's no game plans for him or against him, so he can go out and let it rip and play. I still believe Zach Wilson gives us a better chance to win, and he's got a lot of things to work on. He hasn't played a lot of football in the last year. He didn't play it all last year except preseason.
Yeah.
But let's be honest. We need Tua to play 17 games.
Absolutely.
And not worry about insurance policies. But, hey, I think what we saw last week, and he's given Zach a lot of work, and I'm guessing he's going to get a lot of work because they understand if something happens to Tua, we can't throw in the season. You got to have somebody, and they went out and got him early, and Mike believes he's the guy.
Perfect. All right, Joe, before we let you go, we're going to do a quick lightning round. 4 teams we're going to mention, 4 points. All right,
Okay.
first one, Canes. Obviously, practicing up in Coral Gables, Mayo Cristobal. What are you thinking this season?
Loaded.
I like it.
Team's loaded.
Notre Dame coming up. They're going to know right away, right? They play Notre Dame.
Yeah.
First game of the year, you're going to know.
Playing best team on their schedule for week 1. Minus the quarterback, the rest of that Notre Dame team going to that national championship game, they're loaded. Had a good recruiting class. They're going to play maybe the best team they're going to have on their schedule week 1.
Okay.
Next up.
Florida Panthers. Bill Zito keeps the holy grail of 3. Paul Maurice, do we three-peat it this year?
There's a good chance bringing all those guys back. Got to give them a rest, make sure everybody's good to go, and then Paul's going to work them. Paul Maurice, the chemistry between GM and head coach, and bringing all those guys back. Some of them took a little less money and longer contracts. Man, this is going to be a fun year. If you're a Panthers fan, they have a legit chance. Vegas is saying it, not me, to win again.
Yeah, and by the way, those guys are locked up for 5 years. I mean, they could win a couple. It's going to be a while. So it's still a Dolphins town no matter what, but the Panthers are making a push, that's for sure.
A lot more fans. Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I almost said Florida Marlins. Bring it back, Ash. Miami Marlins. I'm a huge Joe. I get so much crap on Twitter X about being a Marlins fan. I'm a season ticket holder. I ride and die for that team. It's been a fun season, right? We were able to keep Sandy and everything. Is this team under Peter Bendix projecting upward with the talent that they got, or is this just a little high that we had through the summer and it's going to be the same old Marlins?
I think they're fine. A bunch of them are hurt right now, like Stowers, but they've got a bunch of really good players. And don't ever be alone there, girl. I sit and watch almost every inning. And when I'm done here, I'm going to watch some more. In this last game of this series, I love watching them. I just love watching baseball. You can kind of watch the game and do other things. It's a great game. It's got its place. And you saying it, I'm an old guy, but your fact that you love it is great. So I think they've got a lot of talent from all those trades. They're going to keep bringing guys up and get a core of guys. The question is, can you hold on to them down the road? And I'd love to keep Sandy and love to see the old Sandy come back.
And I'll tell you, I'm a girl after your heart, but I've been to 19 active ballparks. Oracle is my number 1.
Wow.
Yeah.
Giants, yeah.
Yeah. Oracle, it was stunning.
Yeah,
I mean, T-Mobile's up there too, and Fenway, but Oracle
garlic
was.
fries, the smell of garlic fries, calamari
The
out.
seals kind of did it for me when we were able to see seals and then the seagulls, and I just walkable. And then we went to the museum. It was just wonderful. All right.
McCovey Cove. Oh, now you got me all excited. You took me back to being a little boy. Go ahead. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we could. Okay, Miami Heat. We won't talk about the stolen merch and stuff. I'm a little disappointed in them just because I feel like we really needed like a big name off season, and I don't understand why Kyle Lowry is still there and stuff. Sorry, Terry Rozier. I don't know why I said Kyle Lowry. I don't know why I said that.
That's all right. That's all right.
Do you? Are he going to do anything this year, or is it kind of like almost like a rebuild season? Do we still believe in Pat? What are we doing with the Heat?
So you can't run Pat out. He's done too much here. He's still well respected, no matter what national guys say. He's sold on all those first round draft picks, and he didn't want to give them up to get any old guys. He's decided they're going on the development and taking the next step program, at least this year. And I think a lot of it had to do with Boston kind of broke up that team. Milwaukee loses their best shooter. And I think they're going, you know what? Those 6 spots might be open if we can take the next step. But I'm with you. We're kind of spoiled. We usually get a free agent. We get a big free agent, not doing it. And so here we go. And I know expectations aren't as high this year as they've been in the past.
That's very fair to say.
Excellent. Well, Joe, thank you again for joining us. I got one last ones here really quick. Everybody, thank you for joining us. Show Joe some love. Come on over to YouTube, like and subscribe to the channel. Support everything Joe's doing. He is the absolute best. Joe, were you more of a white-on-white uniform like here, or did you prefer the aqua over the white? What did you like better wearing?
I like the aqua. I like the old school. I like the old school logo a lot better. But I like the old. But I'm not white on white's fine. I mean, I get it. It's hot out. But hey, man, when we played that old Orange Bowl, Coach Shula wanted it to be 250 degrees, and he loved to watch the big guys on the other team puking for a 1:00 start. He loved it. Got
Love
it.
it.
Yeah.
That is awesome. All right. And then last thing I got for you here, better call. What was your favorite call in the booth? Did you enjoy more the 2007 Cleo Lemon to Greg Camarillo, where we avoided going 0-16 potentially, and your call, and I quote, "Take us out of the history books, baby. We're not going down for that one, baby." I love it. Classic. Or how about the Miami Miracle against the Patriots? What was you're in the booth. Where did you get more excited on a call?
Well, listen, that play was phenomenal, right? But I got to be honest with you. We've gone through enough hell. Nobody wants to go 0-16.
No.
I know one win is like, hey, you're still getting the first pick, but at least we won a frigging game. I just wanted to win a frigging game, and we got it. So I'll take that. Just awesome. We don't want any of those bad stats. We want the good stuff. We want to get back to the good stuff this year.
Exactly.
All right, Joe. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. We love you. The Dolphin community loves you. When we announced that Joe Rose coming on our show, people went crazy. We have so many viewers on tonight. So many viewers are going to rewatch it. So tell people, obviously, morning radio, the Joe Rose Show. Where else can they hear you? I know you're at training camp all the time. Let the people know where they can see you and talk to you and reach out to you.
We're on 104.3 now on FM, which is just a game changer. From 560 AM, we're still there. But now we got the big signal from Key West up to north of Jupiter, which is pretty cool. That's been a real game changer. That's we're on this YouTube stuff, but I really don't know. It's like I'm still getting all the other shows told me I'm like 9 years behind what they've been doing. So I'm not sure how you find us on that. They're going to get mad that I don't know how to do that. But hey, listen, I appreciate your support, you guys. Thank you so much. It's very, very nice. This has been a lot of fun.
No, perfect. All right, we'll see you soon. You take care, Joe.
Thank you.
We'll see you at practice. Thank you, guys.
Perfect.
He's so much fun. Oh my gosh.
He's the hardest working man in town. I mean, I've seen him do games on Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football, and he's the next day. His show starts every day at 6 a.m. and he's in the studio wherever he could get hooked up to talk about the game from the night before. And he used to do it, as mentioned, on Channel 6, but he would cover weekly, nightly news, and he is the best. For my money, I need to hang out with somebody at a bar and shoot the with. It's Joe Rose. Nobody could tell stories like him. He's got an incredible personality. It comes out of him. He's the greatest.
We didn't hear you. What'd you say?
No, I said if we're gonna drink cold beer and sit around talk sports, I'm definitely the guy for that. There's no.
I see his on stage.
Oh man, I love to drink a cold one with you, Joe. No doubt.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in tonight at the SoFLo Sports Show. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We've had a blast with Joe Rose. Hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. You can follow him, on his morning radio. I listen to him, I mentioned before, on my way to work. So if you have a terrible commute to work or you just want some good sports talk in the morning, promise you he's the best of the best. I was never into really sports. I used my country music, and then you left it on my radio one time and I refused to put anything else on my radio. It's so addicting. And then I get to work and then I do a whole recap of what Joe said, my 40-minute commute with my boss.
Yep. And now 104.3 as mentioned on the FM dial. So you can be multiple ways to listen on the Odyssey app as well. Download if you haven't already. It is must listen.
It was fantastic. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. As we mentioned before, we got talking to Joe. Keep Ian in your thoughts and prayers. Big E does start his chemotherapy and radiation next Wednesday. For those who have purchased the Big E Strong bracelets, the first batch has come in and have been shipped out. So within the next week or so, for everybody who did order, they will be coming to your house because I mailed them, or we'll be mailing them. And so be sure to wear them all season to support our friend during this scary times. And tomorrow Dolphins have joint practice against Jacksonville. And then preseason is on Saturday, 7 o'clock at night at the Hard Rock. Blue Jays come to town against the Marlins this week. Luis Castillo on Sunday, bobblehead. And Canes football is back next week.
That's right.
So much going on. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. As Lou mentioned, subscribe, like, and subscribe to the channel. And we will see you later.
Have a good night, guys.